And don't wait for the Fed to start cutting. Already have deals under contract and ready to go before the Fed starts cutting, because we know it's going to be coming. So getting prepared right now is the right opportunity, in my opinion, to capitalize on this quote unquote downturn.
Welcome to The Real Deal, a commercial real estate investing podcast. I'm your host, Aman. There's a ton going on in the world right now, and much of it impacts real estate investors. The Real Deal podcast will take a look at what's happening and how it influences you as a real estate investor. Each episode is a 20-minute segment dedicated to distilling the day's most important news, so you can stay up to date on what's going on in the world and how it might affect the commercial real estate market.
Welcome back to another episode of the Cashflow Capitalist Show. Today, we have a very special guest. He's a very seasoned investor, Reed Goossens. Hey, Reed, welcome to the show.
G'day, mate. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm very, very well. Coming into just before Christmas here. I don't know when this podcast is going to be recorded, but getting excited for the holidays and spending some time with the family.
Nice. So give us your introduction in like 30 seconds. Tell us who you are.
Wow, 30 seconds. Originally from Australia, moved here in 2012. I moved here to chase a girl. She became my wife. And then over that short period of time thereafter, moving to the United States, I started investing in small multifamily real estate, duplexes and triplexes. And then over the last 10 years, I've built up multiple syndication companies to date. And we have had in the portfolio about $800 million of multifamily commercial real estate over that period of time. The real big thing for your listeners is that I'm not here to boast. I'm here to sort of inspire people to take action. I moved from this country 10 years ago, 12 years ago, having no idea that I would go on to do what I'm doing today. And hopefully my story can inspire those people to go off and take some action.
So first question I have to you, when you came to this country, what was the mindset that you want to go into real estate? Why real estate?
Well, real estate was already sort of embedded in me before coming to the US. I knew I wanted to do more with my life, but I didn't know exactly what, right? A lot of people, maybe some of your listeners, are out there sitting in a cubicle or in a day job, just having no real direction in life, right? I knew I wanted to take control of my life. I just didn't know what specific avenue that may look like. And it was through reading the book Rich Dad Poor Dad way back in 2009. I read that book. That completely changed my life. So that helped me sort of see that I needed to do more with my life, because I felt as if I was a star basketball player sitting on the sidelines, just watching the game of life go on in front of me, and I wasn't taking control of that. So around that time, back in 2009, 2010, I sort of had asked myself the question, what do I want to do, right? What do I really, really want to do? And real estate, because of my background as a structural engineer, I gravitated towards real estate. I gravitated towards physical objects. And that was really the start of it. And then when I moved to the United States, it was, get your money working for you as quickly as possible. And I had an incredible opportunity to start investing with as little as $30,000. And so that was enough to get me to buy my first property. And, fast forward to today, as they say, the rest is history.
Can you share us about your first property?
Yeah, look, the first property was a triplex in upstate New York. I was living in New York City, but I couldn't afford New York City prices. But I had saved a little bit of money from my career. And when I first moved here, no one was going to lend to me. So I had to buy these properties all cash. And the first property I bought all cash was a $38,000 triplex. That was the actual total price, $38,000. So where I come from in Australia, there was no properties for $38,000. So to see this triplex cash flowing, $700, $800, $1,000 a month, I was like, whoa, this is really, really powerful. And it got me going, right? There's a point in life where at that particular point, I was learning a lot. I was reading books and going to seminars, I should say, and talking to other folks. But I realized that I needed to go out and take action. And you don't get to deal number 10 without doing deal number 1. And that was the first start of it. Yeah.
So what if I ask you, there are so many people who are studying every day, reading every day, and never take the action, and they never get the breakthrough, never get the time. What do you want to say about that?
We've all got the same amount of time in the day. I think you really have to prioritize what you want in life. The other big thing is, run your own race. Doing this will not happen in 6 months, a year. It may not happen over in 2 years, but allow yourself the mindset to know that it will, if it's going to change your life for the long term, for the better, it will take you a long period of time. So when I picked up that book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, between that time, 2008, 2009, to when I actually quit my day job here in America, it was nearly 10 years later. So just know that it can take a long time. Now, in that 10 years, between 2009 to 2017-ish is when I quit my day job. I was hustling, doing side deals, starting podcasts, starting meetup events. I was doing all the things, throwing all the spaghetti against the wall. But did I give up? No. Was it hard? Yes. Is it still hard today? Fuck yes it is. Excuse my language. But it's about knowing that it's for the long term, and it's a marathon, not a sprint. So I think the biggest piece of advice for those people out there, if you haven't seen the results come instantly, they're not going to come instantly. It's because you've got to set yourself up with the right mindset to know that it is going to take some time.
So you're saying you need to learn the art of delaying the gratification.
It could be delaying the gratification, but there's so many different ways to be gratified in that sense of, well, let's think about I remember the first action step, right, that you could do, talking about going to seminars and webinars, and that makes you feel good, right? You get in the room, it's all very rah-rah, and you're surrounded by other people. Well, the next, action to put yourself out there is to start making offers on properties. Or how the hell do I do that? Well, you better learn how to underwrite. Well, what does underwriting mean? There's different ways to start having that gratitude or being gratified back by doing smaller steps. And those smaller steps can be as simple as submit 3 offers a month for the next 12 months. And I bet you'll get a deal done, or get a deal across the line. There's always going to be that element of fear factor. And I think there's a real big, in around the community of self-education and going to seminars and webinars and all that stuff, there'll come a point where you will know within yourself when the right time is to go. Now, that doesn't mean all the traffic lights are green telling you to go. It just means that you have to understand that there's sometimes you got to take that step forward, not knowing the exact destinational path or how's it all going to play out in front of you. And that leap of faith is scary for some people, for all of us, right? It's not just for some people, it's for all of us. But the act of doing it and doing it consistently, so being comfortable, being uncomfortable, is the most important thing as you start building a business.
Yeah, seek the discomfort.
That's right. That's exactly right.
And can you share us something about your first multifamily deal?
Sure.
The one with the syndication.
My first large multifamily syndication was 2015, and that was through a partnership with a mentor of mine at the time. And we were able to, and I connected two people on a deal. They were able to raise the deals, 250 units, and that I was, a co-GP at that point. Come 2017, I did my first lead syndication. And that was 192 units in San Antonio, Texas. And that's where we raised our first, and I was the lead syndicator. We raised $6.8 million to close on the deal. And that was a scary thing, man. Going from that, being a co-GP where I didn't have to worry about finding the deal, I just had to worry about raising capital, to then being the captain of the ships, and having to manage every single facet of a deal. Raising capital, underwriting the deal, making relationships with brokers, understanding who the property management team is, getting the PPM together and going to the closing table. All that stuff, getting the bank financing, goes to pushing yourself outside your comfort zone. And it was scary. But today I now do it, and I've done it 24 times since then, and we've done 24 major syndications, and it's been an incredible journey. But now those processes of closing on a large multifamily comes second nature to me and my team. And it's interesting to sit here to say that when you reflect on the last 10 to 12 years of coming from a scared, guy to taking action and doing your own deals.
And do you ever think about when you think about it back in time, I came from Australia like 10, 15 years ago. Now where I am, like, how do you feel that way?
Yeah, it feels good, but you don't stop and rest on your laurels. You got to keep going, and I strive to be a better leader, a better husband, a better person, a better entrepreneur every single day. So what has defined me in the past won't define me moving forward. And I got to understand that it's it's been an incredible journey, but it ain't over. It's only just getting started.
Yeah, nice. So, in your first deal as a co-GP, did you raise capital? Did you find deals? What was your role?
So my role was an introduction between the two lead sponsors. They did not know each other. One of the lead sponsors could raise money. The other lead sponsor could found the deal. I helped him underwrite it, and then we all contributed to raising capital. I remember going to my very small list of investors at the time and falling flat on my face. I didn't have. I think I only raised like $200,000, but I thought I was going to raise, like $500,000. And so I think it was actually less than that. I think it was like $100,000. So it was just a cold shower of understanding that you have to constantly be raising capital, constantly cultivating your data, so your email list, your investor list, because there's always going to be a time when you have a live deal and you go to your investors and sometimes they can scatter like cockroaches, right? And they're always like, yeah, I'm going to be in your next deal. And then you bring them a live deal and all of a sudden there's an excuse, right? There's crickets, right? Exactly. So you have to be constantly building your capital raising machine, constantly building your list. And that is going to make you the most successful. And that's regardless of what business you're in. It doesn't have to just be multifamily. You building a client database for any business is going to make you successful.
So were you thinking like, I'm new to this country. I don't know anybody else. I don't have too many contacts. I don't know too many rich people who want to invest. Because I also realize people, at this point, people are also like more focused on investing. Back in the day, people were not focused on investing. They were like learning when they're around hitting like 33, 34, 35. Now kids are like 21, 22. They want to learn investing too. They want to make more money too. But back in the day, when you were meeting your folks, your coworkers, were they more inclined investing with you, or you had to go find people from different REI meetups or something like this?
Yeah, no. So growing up around money wasn't about investing. I didn't understand the concept of investing. It wasn't until I read that book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, that I started to grasp the idea of getting your money working for you. I remember my dad telling me a fool and their money are easily parted. So meaning that you don't want to be a fool when it comes to how you invest your money. But it was never taught to me around you need to buy a piece of real estate or you need to invest in a business. It was around getting a good job and maybe investing in primary residence, maybe having a secondary residence, but that was the sort of the extent of it. It wasn't about quit the day job, start a business, create cash flow, create wealth. So that was all learned over the last 10, in the early days of my investing career, and that I didn't go to school for that. I was going to self-educated, going to webinars, seminars, listening to podcasts earlier in the day, early in the piece in the infancy, and even today I continue to learn about new things around investing. And you constantly have to be a student of that, because I think it's very important to always continue to learn. Otherwise, it's very dangerous. Those folks out there who think they know it all. So I never want to be that person. But back in the day, it was around. I didn't grow up with someone saying, hey, be an entrepreneur, go out and carve your own path, so to speak.
Nobody knows it all. They claim they know it all.
Right. That's right.
And since you have like around 800 million asset under management, you have like good amount of experience from the last 8 to 10 years. What do you think where the economy is going right now? What is the future of multifamily?
Right now, we're in a bit of distress in the multifamily space. I think we've been in more distress than what the government is leading on. They're saying how resilient the jobs market is, how resilient the growth is. In our space, we're seeing a lot of distress in regards to the financing piece of it. And there's a couple of pieces, but particularly around the financing piece. We have seen historically low interest rates, and a lot of people gorged on low interest rates and got variable rate loans. And then the Fed to try and combat inflation, increased rates over 500% in a space of 12 months, which is I think one of the greatest rate of change in the Fed funds rate in history. So we went from 0 to five times that. Now, it doesn't sound like a lot when you compare it to the 80s or the 70s, but if you were to take the average interest rates of those times and then times it by 5, that's essentially what we've done here, which has caused a lot of pain in real estate pricing, particularly around multifamily or commercial real estate. So you have these assets that are valued less today than what they were 2 or 3 years ago, and that's across the country. And so people are being forced to decide what they need to do with their existing multifamily or existing commercial real estate. And it depends on how they've financed it in the beginning. They may have got a short-term bridge debt loan that's lasts for 3 years, and their 3 years is coming up next year. Well, guess what? We're now in interest rates that you might have got that loan when interest rates were in 3-4%. Well, today those interest rates are 8-9%, and the value of your asset is not worth the value of what you bought it for. So how do you go and refinance that particular lender? You either, one, you can work it out with the lender, or two, you have to go into a capital call and refinance that lender. So a lot of people are seeing some distress right now, and a lot of multifamily investors have made fantastic money in the last 7 or 8 years, but we're starting to see an adjustment back to what probably historically what multifamily real estate was and is, and that is a medium to long-term investment. We've seen a lot of people, and I've produced this for my investors. I've been able to double people's money in less than 3 years. But historically, if you look at the trends, and where I come from in Australia, if you double your money over a 7 to 10 year period, you're doing just fine, right? And we're seeing that move back to that type of medium to long-term investing. And I think investors have to understand that, and they got so spoiled, I should say, with the quick hit of the doubling of the money in 3 years. Let's go again, And now you're seeing there's starting to be some pain with higher interest rates, and that's causing people to potentially lose deals, right? And people are losing money in today's market as we speak. On the other side of the coin, we've got some softening in the rental market. That's multiple fold of issues why that is. And the first one is higher inflation for longer is having a real-time effect on renters. The average renter who we rent to probably earns between $45,000 and $55,000 a year, and rents have gone up probably over the last 5 years 20%, right? Maybe even more. We're now seeing a pullback of those rents because they just can't continue to afford to pay those rental prices, combined with the groceries and the petrol in the car and sending their kids to school. So you're seeing a bit of an uptick in delinquency, and you're seeing rental rates soften, and this is across the country. Then couple on top of that, not only the financing problems, now also we've got more deliveries. More multifamily has been built in the last 3-5 years, and we are seeing a lot more deliveries coming online, which means new product. And if renters don't want to rent in your place anymore because they could get something that is at a very comparable rate, but for a brand new product, why would they stay in your property that might be built in the 1980s? Why wouldn't they go over and rent from a newer asset? So we're seeing a lot of different distresses in the market today. Now, some of your people might be saying, well, why would I invest in multifamily today? Well, the thing is, there is distress right now, and you can get some really incredible cap rate expanded assets in today's market, and it's about finding what these assets are out there. So there's plenty of opportunities right now. We believe that as people are starting to pull back from multifamily investing, we think it's a really good time to be doubling down and finding great deals out there. Everything from the newly delivered brand apartment building that the developer needs to sell because he's got an expiring loan on his asset or her asset, all the way through to the newbie syndicator who maybe got a little bit off too much more than they can chew, and as now has an expiring rate cap or an expiring lending circumstances, and they are facing a complete wipeout of their equity. We may be able to come along and pick up some good discounted prices.
I remember maybe 1 or 2 years ago when we spoke for the first time, we talk about cap rates like 2%, 3%, max 4%. It feels really high at that time. what kind of cap rates are you seeing in today's market? And go for it. Yeah.
Depends on where you're investing. In the markets we're investing in right now, we've seen cap rates expand from probably where we met 2 or 3 years ago, anywhere from 100 to 200 basis points. So say you might have had, but you also got to remember interest rates and market cap rates are aligned. So when interest rates were 3 or 4%, you saw cap rates at 3 or 4%, right? Now interest rates are 5 to 6% on the Fed rate. You're seeing market cap rates in the 5 to 6% cap rates. So you're seeing it. It all goes together. All works in lockstep, and that's where I think there's a massive opportunity right now, because the Fed will be forced to cut interest rates. And if you look at the Fed dot plot, they're expecting interest rates to be cut in the coming year. Inflation is not at target yet, but it's come down from the peaks of last year of 9% in 1 month, I remember, annualized. It's now down to, I think, sub 4%. So we're working in the right direction. So if you can pick up an asset at a 6 cap rate and then interest rates are cut, i.e. the Fed's funds rates come from a 5.25 down to a 4 or even a 3.5, then those market cap rates will compress as well, meaning the value of your asset will go up. So if you can pick it up at a 6 cap rate, sell it at a 5 cap rate, that's good investing.
So you said we are moving in the right direction, but don't you think like many investors are holding a lot of cash? And I've seen like from last week, interest rate came down a little bit and the mortgage inquiries have gone up. And if that's keep happening, and Bloomberg is also saying that 89% chances the rates cut will happen by May. If that happens, don't you think all the investors start jumping towards real estate or different asset classes and increase the price again? And inflation, we're going to see the inflation again.
Yeah, I'm not an economist, but look, there's a lot of capital on the sideline. Yeah. There's a lot of people. So what happens when everyone jumps back in the pool? Does the water start splashing off the sides? I'm not 100% sure exactly what's going to happen, and I think people are scared today. That's why they're keeping their cash on the sidelines. And so where we're trying to be more opportunistic is by continuing to look at deals. So not putting your pencils down and saying, well, I can't get any deals done. Continuing to look at deals and see how they've changed in real time will make you a better investor and will make you ready. And don't wait for the Fed to start cutting. Already have deals under contract and ready to go before the Fed starts cutting, because we know it's going to be coming. So getting prepared right now is the right opportunity, in my opinion, to capitalize on this quote unquote downturn.
If rate cut are expected, what do you recommend? What kind of loan should take, fixed or variable?
I always think fixed. I have got variable debt on some of my assets and I regret it. They're the ones that I have the sleepless nights about. So I think in what we've seen is that the Fed can completely change the game within a short span of time in the lending environment. And that has been a cold shower for a lot of investors today, right? So I don't think a lot of investors, particularly for my investors, I ain't showing them a variable interest rate loans. I'm showing them fixed loans. So the variability is taken off the table. I think you could look at, step down prepays. So if you're getting an agency loan or a fixed loan and say maybe it might take 5% if you try to exit that in a year, but then it goes 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then after sort of 5 years it becomes very nominal, the fee to exit. So I think those fixed rate loans are with a step down prepay are probably the ones we are chasing the hardest right now.
Nice. And if you talk about capital raising, what kind of techniques or method do you use in today's market for capital raise?
We're using a lot of Facebook ads. We're doing a lot of investor referrals. I've actually got an investor appreciation dinner tomorrow night in Los Angeles. I've had one earlier in the year in New York City. We're also doing. We've actually brought on extra team members to continue to cultivate leads as we get them through our online marketing, and make sure that they've got people to talk to. We're also doing a lot more around that investor referral, as I mentioned. We're also hosting, certain state of the market sort of, leadership and type of stuff out there in terms of production of content in order to show our investors and attract new investors into our sphere in and around about how we think about investing now and how we think about investing in the future and how we're trying to protect investors' capital.
And how does social media is helping in today's market? Like if you see Grant Cardone, he's every day on this Instagram. How do you see that? Like in respect to capital raising or finding the deals or leads? How do you see that?
In terms of Grant, I had to turn him off. He's a little bit too much for me personally. But I appreciate what he does and what he's doing in terms of being the top of mind when people think about real estate investing. But like anything, you have to create, and the reason we use social media is to create a brand for ourselves, right? Like Cardone has done. We're not Cardone, we know that, and we do it a different way. We're still out there raising capital from our investors, and so we use social media as a platform to increase our social awareness. Sorry, not our social awareness, our brand, and that brand helps us raise more capital, right? It helps us build trust with our investors. So we're doing the similar things that he is doing, but we're just doing it on a slightly different scale.
Are you doing any kind of like educational webinars weekly or monthly to educate your new investor that you find you get the leads from social media?
Yeah, so we have a whole drip campaign around education. We don't offer education courses. We're not an education group. We're a real estate investment company. We do monthly newsletters all around and monthly blogs around educating folks about what's happening in today's environment. As I mentioned, we do webinars twice a year and really have a state of the market, nearly a state of the union address for everyone, all our investors looking to invest in today's economy and understanding how we think of the world today. And then we've also got the podcast, which my podcast goes out weekly. Behind me, you can see the banner in the background. It's called Investing in the US. And I've also written a book just here called also Investing in the US. And I've been doing that since 2000.
The one on this side too, American Dream?
No, that's also another book.
Nice.
But there's two books there, Investing in the US and the 10,000 Miles to the American Dream.
Nice. So before we wrap this up, I have like two or three more questions. The first question is, what advice do you want to give to somebody else who is in similar position, who came to America from different country with the limited resources and wants to get started into real estate?
For those people coming from, I think the first thing you've got to do is get down to your local real estate investment association club. There's the beauty about being here in the US is that the access to information is at our fingertips. So if you're in a market you want to be active in, getting to those events, you'll find boots on the ground, you'll find local people doing deals in the market, and that's really, really powerful.
Nice. And what's your morning routine as an entrepreneur?
Before I had a baby, it was meditation and stretching. But now that I have a baby, that's gone out the window. So it's really dealing with her because she's only 15 months old. So
nice.
It's changed over the years.
And what would you do different if you had to start all over again?
Oh, that's such a hard question, and I don't think I would do anything different. It doesn't. What I am today or what I've built today was at my own pace, was at my own pace, so to speak. And I've been trying to run my own race from the get-go, but it's very hard when you compare yourself to other people. But I think in general, I wouldn't change anything that I've done. For those people out there who are looking for change, for me, it was coming to America, right? That changed my life completely. It could have been a success or it could have been a failure. Be okay with change. Challenge yourself to push those limits. Challenge yourself to do something that puts you outside your comfort zone. And that will create opportunities for you to grow. And I think that's the most important thing.
So, since you're came from a different country and you have intensive life experience too, if today is the last day on this planet, what advice do you want to give to the world?
Oh, that's a good one.
Just one last message. Could be anything.
Go give life a crack. It's a saying that I say. It's you get one shot at this. You don't No one's going to come along and hand you your dreams. You're going to have to be the one to get off the couch and go make something. And that old saying that Tony Robbins says is like, change your story, change your life. And for me, moving to the US helped me change my story, helped me change my narrative, and that helped me change my life for the long term.
Nice. And thank you so much, Reed, for your time. And I really, really appreciate it for your knowledge and for your wisdom. And I really appreciate that. And thank you so much. And I'll see you in local RIA.
See you, mate.
Thank you for joining us on The Real Deal, a commercial real estate investing podcast, the show that covers everything to do with multifamily real estate investing to help you become an expert in your real estate ventures. We're here to help you create passive income and financial freedom so that you can achieve what you want whenever you want. We'll catch you next time on The Real Deal.